You improved softer skills, for example, the way you speak, the way you debate, the way you conduct yourself, all the corporate etiquettes. These are some of the finer points that are ubiquitous and are applied across any work that you would do going forward in the future. So let me start today's video by sharing two very small but very useful stories. So the first story is about me graduating from INSEAD in 2015 and getting a job at Dalberg. Now Dalberg is one of the elite consulting firms and it recruits very few candidates every year. So your obvious response here might be that, hey Akshat, since you graduated from INSEAD and you did your MBA from INSEAD, therefore you got a job at Dalberg. And let me tell you, you might be wrong here. I actually got a job at Dalberg because of the fact that I had prepared extensively for my job interview. I had solved over 1000 cases. I had prepared my cover letter, resume in a very elaborate manner. I had researched a lot about this job. I had built my skills. So there were a lot of things that went into me getting a job at Dalberg. It was not necessarily due to my MBA. So this is story number one. Now let me tell you the second short story. So the second short story is about my friend who with me graduated from Dalberg but ended up coming back to India and starting his career. Now you might say that, hey Akshat, that really scares me because your friend might have taken so much loan when he studied at INSEAD and then he had to come back to India. So the entire viewpoint of doing an MBA might not be good there. Now again, I'll tell you that you're wrong here because he ended up working with one of the elite consulting firms in India and his pay package was close to 50 lakhs in Delhi office. So now the point that I want to portray through these two stories is that people actually assume that getting an MBA proves to be a magic pill, which is wrong. And sometimes people assume that making so much investment in your MBA and if you have to come back to India, that might be detrimental for your career. Again, this perspective is wrong. So on this video, I'm going to share 5 specific points with you that will help you make a better career choice in terms of assessing whether an MBA is for you or not. Now, before I get into the core of the video, just a very small humble request that please pause the video and please like it. That would indicate to me that you appreciate this type of content and it would motivate me to shoot such videos going forward in the future. So first and foremost, you must understand that what is the value of an MBA. So essentially, there are two primary benefits of doing an MBA. The first primary benefit is something called as network effect. So when you go to a business school like Harvard, Stanford, INSEAD, Wharton, you end up building a massive network. For example, INSEAD graduates approximately 1000 students every year. Now that network keeps on multiplying and these are very old institutes. So the strength of this alumni network is very, very solid. Whenever you need any help from an INSEAD alum, and if you are an INSEAD alum yourself, you can reach out to them. You can seek advice, mentorship, you can ask for job favors, you can ask for internal referrals, you can ask for business advice, investor advice, and bunch of different help. So this is the first primary value add of a good MBA program. The second key value add of an MBA program is something called a signaling effect. So signaling effect means that, for example, if you graduate from, let's say, something like IIM Ahmedabad, now it indicates or signals to the recruiters that, hey, this person is intelligent, right? They might not even take a look at your resume, but because of the fact that you have an IIM Ahmedabad brand on your CV, it automatically signals to the recruiter that you're a smart person. So these are the two primary value adds. Now let me move on to the next point. Now, if you're deciding to pursue an MBA, you must seriously consider thinking about your goals. You must have a very specific answer as to why is it that you want to do an MBA. If your objective is that, hey, I want to grow my corporate career, MBA is a wonderful degree. Be it consulting, if you want to work with firms like BCG, Bain, McKinsey, it is almost mandatory that an MBA is required because majority of these consulting firms actually send their analysts or junior level employees and ask them to pursue a master's degree, be it MBA or MPP. So from that respect, the entire consulting industry or investment banking industry really respects the MBA programs. Even if you take a look at the leadership of these firms, be it Goldman Sachs, be it Morgan Stanley, be it BCG, Bain, McKinsey, you will clearly see a lot of people who have done their MBAs and are at the top echelon of these companies. So if you want to grow in the corporate career, MBA is almost a requirement from that perspective. But on the flip side, what happens if you want to become an entrepreneur? Is an MBA required or not? We will understand this from the next point. Now, if you're an entrepreneur and if you have done your MBA, again, this can be a very impressive value add for you. So again, sharing my own personal story. So after working in strategy consulting, I became an entrepreneur and I started a few ventures which did fairly well. The way an MBA helped me was that in addition to the network effect that I was speaking about earlier, it also helped me explore the option of going to my professor, refining my business plan. Even at INSEAD, I pitched my business plan, got feedback on it. There was this entire ecosystem where the INSEAD community helped me in terms of refining my business plan. That was one. Second, though I did not explore this option, but the second option that MBA students can explore if they are exploring entrepreneurship is that they can actually leverage their school's network, incubation center or angel investor network to raise funds for their startups. For example, currently I run a company called as Cases Over Coffee, and we can easily reach out to a lot of investors. There is something called as INSEAD's Angel Investment Network. We can reach out to that, raise funds for our venture. So these are some of the key advantages. Even if you're pursuing entrepreneurship, MBA can be very useful from that perspective. Now, in addition to these direct benefits, there are indirect benefits of an MBA program for an entrepreneur as well. For example, in my case, I came from a public policy consulting background, so I did not have a lot of sense as how operations worked or how marketing worked. By taking courses, by taking electives, by taking experiential learning programs at INSEAD, I was able to build this subject matter knowledge, which helps me now as an entrepreneur on everyday basis. Now, this brings me to my next point. Now, let's discuss a very important point, which is that, hey, these days I see so many options for me to take online courses and so many options to pursue other degrees like MIM. Is MBA still relevant? Okay, so let me answer this in two parts. So let me compare online MBA programs with real world offline MBA programs. There is a huge difference between these two. As I was suggesting on the first point, that the primary advantage of an MBA is that it generates something called a signaling effect. For example, when you learn that, hey, Akshat has graduated from INSEAD, you might take my words more seriously because you know that it's coming from a credible person. Similarly, when you meet someone from IIM Ahmedabad or some good college, it might automatically signal to you that, hey, this person might have studied really hard or might have put in so much work and effort in terms of getting into this elite institute. So he or she might have something useful to say from that perspective. If you have done an online MBA, it might give you the knowledge, but that signaling effect might not be there. That's one. Second is that, again, you would not get any network advantage, that just because you have done a course from Darden Online University, it would not give you the access to Darden's alumni network. Now, second, let me quickly compare MBA with other degrees. Now, if you take a look at almost any other degree, be it MS, be it MIM, there is no other degree in the world besides an MBA that is discussed and debated so much. Now, you have people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos who criticize MBAs. At the same time, they go back and recruit those same MBA candidates to run their own companies. So the point I'm trying to establish is that there is so much debate that is generated on the MBA, which might indicate to you that, you know what, MBA is not that great a degree, but that is not the reality. You need to do a deeper analysis. You need to keep it goal oriented. And rather than believing in these generic debate, you must do your own due diligence and ask yourself how an MBA will benefit you. If your goal is just to learn new things, then probably doing an MBA might not be the right option. On the flip side, if your ambition is to grow your network in the long term or create that signaling effect and brand value on your CV, which by the way is very important, then an MBA might be a very, very useful degree for you. Now, if you want to compare MBA with MIM, there is an entire video that I had done on the topic. So I would request you to watch that video. Now, if you want to compare MBA with technical degrees, then essentially we are comparing apples to oranges here. If you want to work as a UI UX developer, and if you want to pursue an MS, now that career track cannot be compared with an MBA career track where people usually become product managers or program managers at Google or Amazon, right? So you need to understand what role you are aiming for. If you are aiming for technical roles, then an MS might be a better degree. If on the flip side, you are interested in a business related degree, then MBA is much, much useful from that perspective. Now, the final point is regarding the personal development angle that an MBA brings. So when you go to an MBA school, you don't necessarily just develop core business skills like operations, finance, marketing. You also end up building lifelong friendships that impacts your perspective. You meet people from across the globe, especially when you're graduating from outside India. You improve softer skills, for example, the way you speak, the way you debate, the way you conduct yourself, all the corporate etiquettes. These are some of the finer points that are ubiquitous and are applied across any work that you would do going forward in the future. So in summary, MBA is a great option. It really depends on what you want to do next. You should be very clear about your goal. But most importantly, the overall value add of an MBA comes from the brand prestige that the MBA program has. So the golden rule for doing an MBA is that if you can get into really top-notch programs, you should definitely consider doing an MBA because of the network, the brand value, the signaling effect that you will give. It can really boost your career. I would never advocate you doing an MBA from an average college. That is something that can prove detrimental to your career. So this, according to me, would be the most unbiased and practical way of looking at the MBA debate. So thank you so much for watching this video. I try to keep it unbiased. I hope that you liked it. So please press the like button and comment on this video. That would indicate to me that you appreciate this type of content and I would continue to shoot such videos. And if you want me to compare different business schools, for example, INSEAD with Harvard or INSEAD with Wharton or ISB with IIMs, do drop a comment. I'll definitely take a look and try to shoot those videos. Thank you so much and I'll see you on the next video.